Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. Welcome to our 305th installment in the Torah portion of the week. We are holding by Parshat Vayeitze. Parshat Vayeitze, all about Yaakov going to Lavan, getting a wife, right? Rachel and Leah, and the building up of the Jewish people. Having children. All these children that he has through Rachel, Leah, and through the the maidservants as well. So here the Torah says, a very interesting chapter 31, verse 32. It says, "With whomever you find your gods, he shall not live. The presence of our kinsmen ascertain for yourself what is with me, and take it back." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So there's a whole discussion here, right? What's really going on? What's going on with the stealing, with the stealing of the idol, right? Because the reality, right? The reality is that, maybe she's guilty, right? Maybe she's guilty of stealing the idols, right? Maybe she's not allowed to steal the idol, right? So to speak. That would be, a terrible thing. But also, what does Yaakov do? Yaakov makes a statement, and Yaakov says, "Wait a minute, whoever stole your idols, it's not going to live, right? It's certainly not going to live. So what's going on, right? You might tell me, so a person's got to be careful, right? Certainly got to be careful what they say, right? No question, right? But what's going on? What's going on behind the scenes over here? So it says, "Mor Rebbe, Rav Agon Ramosh Torah, this should be well." And it brings down in Chochmah V'das, and it's commentary on Chumash. And he said, first of all, for Noahites, right, for Bnei Noah, if they steal, right, either in hiding or they beat up a person, steal their money or whatever, really liable for death penalty. Stealing, the death penalty. But you might say, well, what's going on over here? That she's stealing the idols. What are the idols used for? Idols are used for idolatry, right? Essentially used for idolatry. So if they're used for idolatry, and the person who's doing the idolatry liable for death penalty, why isn't it a good thing? Separate them from transgression, right? Sounds like it should be a bad thing, right? Because you're separating them from transgression. Very good, right? So, again, idolatry is death penalty. So if idolatry is death penalty, they didn't do anything wrong, right? Or she didn't do anything wrong over here. So comes on the Zohar, right? So according to Kabbalah and Pirkei Rebbe Eliezer, that these idols, love and worship, it was really avodah zarah, right? It was really idolatry. And the Ramban over here says that it was some kli, it was some vessel that could, tell you what time it is, right? Or go through the hours or whatever it is. What did he use it for? He used it to know the future. In which hour this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, or whatever's going to be. So according to the Ramban, it's not idolatry, right? Not really idolatry. It's sorcery, right? Sorcery might be forbidden for non-Jews, for Noahites as well. But sorcery is not idolatry, not death penalty, right? Same way, not death penalty. So over here, what do I see? So Rebbe here points out the different types of trophy, right? The Torah says, calls them idols, whatever, but there's certain types. Some of them are 100% bona fide idolatry, right? And others, like the Ramban, they used it for sorcery. They used it for, tell the future, different things. So when Yaakov Avinu says, whoever stole these trophies, what was his intention? What was his intention? There's someone who stole that weren't avodah zarah, that stole these things that weren't idolatry, but avodah zarah itself, but idolatry itself. It's fitting to destroy it. And it'd be permissible to take in order to separate someone from a issa, right? Separate someone from something that is forbidden. Very good. So therefore, someone who has idols, right, even by a non-Jew, which is forbidden, and we'll have to separate from them. Not even to steal them, right? It should be permissible to steal them. You separate, you're helping them stay away from sin. You might tell me, oh, it's the law of the land, you can't steal, right? You get persecuted for doing that. Okay, right? That might be a different issue, right? But technically speaking, let's say you knew you would never get caught. You're separating them from something forbidden, especially something as severe as idolatry. Very good, right? Very good. You should be allowed to. That here, Rabbi also points out that even though you're obligated to separate someone from something forbidden, right, in this case idolatry, everybody knows Lavan himself was really attached to idolatry, right? Really, really attached to idolatry. And since everybody knew, this is someone you don't want to mess with. I mean, you want to mess with them anyway, but in general, what happens? Anyone who's going to take his idols, I mean, it's a kind of nefashos, put yourself in danger. Essentially, putting yourself in danger should be not allowed to put yourself in danger. If it's for sure danger, if it's a doubt, whether it's danger, we mentioned many times. If it's a doubt, that's not forbidden, right? That wouldn't necessarily be forbidden. But Yaakov himself was, he was pretty sure. Wouldn't be anyone in his family. Nobody in his family at all would take the idols. Right? What are you going to do with his idols? Or whatever these things were. It wouldn't have dawned on him anyone would do that. So therefore he says, anybody's going to do that. They deserve death penalty, right? They deserve to die. Yeah, so then Rabbi says, okay, what about, so these are things that are bad, right? It might be used for sorcery, might be used for, real idolatry. And then what about other things? What about other things separating someone from a, something that's forbidden? He says, let's say a television. Someone, brings a cesspool into their house, right? Right? They bring the cesspool into the house. All these terrible things come out from TV, right? So to speak. So even, so really person should take it, smash it, whatever. But, let's say you would do that, right? Let's say you do that, that if you do that, the person's going to be really upset, right? And, they may hit you and scream at you, and all that, right? So he says, even though that would be the case, but, you seemingly, you would have an obligation to separate them from this terrible thing. Right. Nonetheless, no, we don't go that far. Right. We don't go that far. That's a whole separate. That's really a whole separate. That's a whole separate discussion. So here there are a few things. Right. One thing is, it's one thing. It's one thing separating someone from doing something wrong. Right. I.e., idolatry. Right, and if it's real idolatry, yeah, it's a mitzvah. It's a big mitzvah to take it, get rid of it, even to steal it. Right, if you knew you wouldn't get caught, there's no possible way for you to get caught. Okay, right, it would be permissible to do. Seemingly, be permissible to do. Even if it's sorcery, it's a good thing. A person doesn't put their life in danger, necessarily to do it. Right, so here he's talking about two different things. One's either it's real idolatry or really it's sorcery, right? So the question is, if it's for idolatry, yeah, could be a person has to, has to be have to have a lot of self-sacrifice to do it, which is what Rachel did. Rachel understood. Okay. There's another issue here, right? That's the main thing, right? That's the main thing here, that my Rebbe brings out. But there's another thing, and that, and that is, Yaakov was convinced, as my Rebbe says, right? Who in his family going to do such a thing, right? He's pretty convinced that, not going to happen. He had nothing to worry about, right? Seemingly he had nothing to worry about. What's the problem? What's the problem? As the verse tells us, he didn't know that Rachel did it. So, simple explanation over here is, this is the reason she died. This is the reason she died. Because he cursed anyone that would do such a thing. He didn't think anyone did it. I mean, there are other reasons brought down that, Yaakov was forbidden to marry, two women. He came into the land of Israel, so Rachel died. Right? Essentially because he held to a higher standard living in the land, even though, Torah wasn't given yet. That's a simple explanation. I mean, let's say better. Simple explanation is not that way. Right? There potentially a number of reasons why she dies on the way. Right? And she dies in the land of Israel. But over here, the Torah is telling you clear. This is the reason she died. This is the reason she died. Because he said, anyone who stole it is going to die. So, we learned something else out over here. And that is, even though, Yaakov said it, right? Yaakov said it because he couldn't imagine. He couldn't imagine anyone in his family, anyone part of his, part of the camp is going to, do something like this because they knew what these idols meant to him. Since they knew what these idols meant to him, why someone's going to put themselves in danger? Why would someone put themselves in danger? Right? But, so we see over here also, you gotta be careful. Person got to be careful what they say. And what someone says could come back to haunt them. Even if they didn't necessarily mean it, they weren't thinking, or, they made a statement. And someone heard something that they didn't actually say, right? Let's say a person said, I feel like this. They said, oh, you said this? No. They said, I feel like this. Feeling like this does not mean that they are actually this. They interpret it like that, right? Someone misinterpreted. So one other thing you see is pretty clear. And we see this in many different places. Person got to be careful what they say. A person makes a vow. They're not thinking. They say language like a vow. So to speak. So you got to get that vow out. What we do before Rosh Hashanah, we now vow. Any vow a person, may have made because they're not careful. They say they're going to do something. They say bli neder without a vow. Right? You should say without a vow because maybe it is. Maybe if you say, I'm going to do something, you don't do it. Depending on what it is, it's like a vow, right? Maybe. So there are things that a person could say that there's serious repercussions. Serious repercussions, even if they didn't necessarily have intention for that. Right? All the more so over here. Person says, whoever did this should die or whatever. Gotta be careful. Even if you don't think in your wildest dreams anyone did it, or anyone would be capable of doing it. I get it. Makes perfect sense. Nonetheless, we also learn that you got to be careful. Right? Again, it would never, because this thing was so, that Lavan himself was so attached to the idol. Makes perfect sense. Who's going to steal it? They don't have to deal with him. Right? One of the worst people, in the world. You don't want to deal with him. You don't have to deal with his anger and all that. You don't. Why start up? So Yaakov himself couldn't imagine. So someone in my camp's going to steal the idol? Go on. Right? Now, he made a statement, made a very strong statement. So one of the things we can learn is got to be careful. Right? We always have to be careful what we say because we don't necessarily understand what the far-reaching repercussions are, right? And then we have to be careful. Whatever we say, whoever we're in contact with, right? And that's what we learn. And one of the things also we learn over here. I want to remind everyone, I have a class on duties of heart every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern time. We're the gate of self-accounting. Every Tuesday, Thursday, I have Q&As, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Every Saturday, Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, 2 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Israel time. Sunday, Book of Leviticus, chapter 17. We are 9 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Israel time. I have conversion classes as well. Anyone interested in any of this, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, and Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on the Torah portion of the week, Book of Leviticus, controversial issues, ethics of our fathers, Q&A. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RABBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com.